My next question would be, it's a little specific. Could you, since we spoke about Chinmaya Mission and Chinmayanandaji, etc., and Vedanta, could you explain the importance of these three terms, Sravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam? How are these the core principles of the Vedantic approach to life and of Hindu philosophy? I know this is a little, we're moving away a little from the general nature of this program, but I think since you are an expert on the Vedas and Vedanta, perhaps you would like to take this on.
Okay, first of all, a qualifier. I'm no way an expert on anything. In fact, being an expert may be a disqualifier. So I would say I'm a practitioner. So and I always say I'm a work in progress. Always, right? So always open to learning. And that hence the Sravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. So Sravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam is a core approach in Jnana Yoga. Okay, so what is Sravanam? Sravanam is listening or reading, observing the phenomena, shall we say, right? So the senses observe the phenomena, right? And the Mananam is the buddhi, right? Once the karmendriyas and the jnanendriyas deliver to the buddhi does mananam, and then compares it with memory, etc., and says, okay, what does it mean? And the nididhyas is every day to say, how am I going to incorporate it into my life? How am I going to change my life because of that?
So would it be correct to say that Shravanam is mindful listening, observation perhaps also, and Mananam would be cogitation on that, as in deliberation on what you have perceived, and Nididhyasanam would be assimilation and an awareness of the assimilation of what one has.
All right. So let me take a few examples, okay, of how this is done. Okay, and it will also give us the depth of wisdom that has come about to us. Let's take the popular verse. Okay, karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Okay, so we have heard this now, right? This is Shravan. Shravan has been done, right? So karmanye vadhikaraste. So we start breaking it down. Right. One of the things that Vedanta teaches us, right? If you notice, when you ask me a question, I started breaking it down. One of the things that Vedanta teaches us is to deconstruct. Go down to each word, right? And be fearless about defining what you think that word is, right? And string together meanings, show how it can be done. Right? That's what Vedanta teaches you, right? So, karmanye vadhikaraste. You have the right to action. You are qualified. You are an adhikari to that act, right? You can act because the Devi has given you this shakti to act, right? You are qualified to act. However, right? Ma phaleshu kadachana. So ma phaleshu kadachana. What does that mean?
Do not think of the fruit of your actions.
Kadachana, phaleshu kadachana. Okay, it's the outcomes are kadachana, uncertain. The outcomes are uncertain. Oh, right? Hey Arjun, while you have the qualities, you are qualified to act. Always remember that the outcomes are uncertain, right? So if you think of it that way, right, that's where we are cogitating, shall we say? You know what I mean? The wisdom that is imparted, right? That cogitation starts happening. We were already aware, right, that we act in a probabilistic domain, not a predetermined domain. There is no determinism. The challenge that the West has is from how they interpreted the Greeks, right? That there was something deterministic, there was loss of nature. Right? The reason modernity has started collapsing over the last 100 years is, right, is because of what they started observing as VUCA. And we'll come to quantum physics perhaps, but the VUCA is volatility, uncertainty, complexity leading to ambiguity.
Oh, okay. Very interesting.
Right? Oh goodness, things are volatile, right? Things are uncertain.
Beyond our control.
We can't structure them. Whole thing, the promise of modernity was we can structure things. The Hobbesian promise of the Leviathan was the social compact that we'll come up with. We'll be able to
fix it,
structure it, right?
Right. So this is beautiful, because these three things, the very approach, the Sanatan approach to knowledge acquisition is pretty much individualistic. Actually leaves it to the individual to find, to understand, to use his own buddhi, his own chitta, to understand the information that he or she is receiving, as opposed to the commandments that were given out.
It gives agency. It gives agency, right?
Exactly.
Right. And it says you can discuss it with people.
You can discuss. Exactly.
Yeah, this is how I interpret it. What do you think? And let's come to an understanding, right? Exactly. And that's where it's very important to bring in, because we have got stuck somewhere. Okay, Deshikala Paristhiti. Okay, when we observe something, it keeps changing, right? Just because something was said in some smriti 2,500 years ago, that was in that context, that Deshkal Paristhiti, right? So with Sravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, we can take it to the next step.
Correct.
Right? So we can start asking, oh, it's uncertain. Can we do something about it though? Can we do something about it? Yeah, we have the Tantra, right? If you go to verse 658 in Lalita Sahasranam, right? She's described as Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Swarupini.
Yes.
If you take that, right, you listen to it, right? And now you do Mananam on that, right? And actually, by daily chanting Lalita Sahasranam, this starts coming out. She reaches out to you and says, you know what? You do a sankalpa, you do a kalpana, imagination, and you do a sankalpa, which is a commitment to that imagination. I will give you the jnana. I'll bless you with the knowledge of how you can bring that about. And as you go deeper into that knowledge, I'll tell you what actions to take. Okay. By doing that, if you go to the previous one, if you go through this commitment, that tapasya, right, you may be able to improve upon the chances of being more successful with the outcomes. Right. Okay, so you can combine the two now. You see the web that can be built. However, even with the improvement of the chances, right, you can still end up with failures. We all do.
Yes.
We all do end up with failures, right? That's where the fork in the road comes. Right? One, we can take the high road or the low road. Okay, that's also shown. For the high road, we go to the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So, Dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sanyai gachanti amudha padam avyayam tata. Dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sanyai, whether the outcome is there or not.
Yes.
Right? Whether you're unhappy or happy, right? When you take both of these to be equal, right, then you can actually go to the feet of that. Okay? So that's the high road. You take that. That's how you manage your failures, because the failures are real. That's the nature of the world, right? So what does this tell you? That it tells you how you can behave, how you can manage your life, right? It takes you to a way of looking at the world which gives you agency and say, look, this is an uncertain world. This is how you can manage your
This is how you
emotions,
can
your
navigate
intellect.
your way.
Right. And it also explains to you what the low road is, right? This is quite a complex two verses, verses 62 and 63, which are the ladder of fall in chapter 2, right? Which says, if you let yourself be frustrated because of your failures, it leads to anger.
Correct.
Right? That anger leads to loss of intellect. That loss of intellect, that connection with the buddhi is lost. Anger cuts off connection with the buddhi. Then you behave like animals, carnivorous animals. And you see that happening, right? The Mananam is, oh yeah, when I get angry,
I do tend to act in a reactionary fashion.
yeah, I lose it, right? So do you see how this exercise of this three-step process, right? It's not the high philosophy. It's actually daily practical use you can make of.
Very pragmatic, yes.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.